you very much. So, hello everyone. My name's Jack Green. I'm a double Olympic athlete. I was very lucky to represent my country at London 2012 and Rio 2016. I finished fourth in one Olympics, fourth in the Commonwealth Games, and I medalled at European and world level. But I've always struggled with my mental health, and which is how I got into the wellbeing space. I've been very public about that. And I ended up leading on wellbeing for BBC Studios during the first lockdown and spent 7 months with them. That led to me setting up Olywell, a wellbeing consultancy, which I'm thoroughly enjoying being able to help other people. So today, talking about physical activity and essentially the mindset, how to get started. Two of the things I'm incredibly passionate about, because I'm also a professional coach. I have an athlete that will be at the Olympics this year who I'm coaching after this event. So obviously physical activity is high up on my list from my previous life and my current life. Now, I'm not going to tell you all the reasons why physical activity is good for you, because we know, especially being in wellbeing, we all know the basic stuff. But there was a few studies that I read recently that I thought were interesting. And the first one was that physical activity it's been proven to be as effective as treating depression as antidepressant medication if it's done 3 times a week for 30 minutes or more. And when we think of physical activity, that's walking or more, right? That's not going out and doing anything overly huge. So that should be the thing we're prescribing here and trying to help people. The other part was the links between aerobic capacity and brain function. So the higher your aerobic capacity, so the higher your fitness, the better brain function you have, that cognitive function. So not only does physical activity improve our physical health, but it's also helping us with our brain health, and the studies show that those with higher aerobic capacity are academically more successful typically. And then the last one out of these interesting stats I found was that research has shown that we retain more information when we are learning whilst exercising. So for a lot of us, we're putting in headphones, we're listening to music, maybe if we're listening to a podcast, like sleep, we will be retaining that information better. So what are we listening to? Something to think about. Maybe there's a chance to use that time to learn as well as help our physical activity. Now let's get into the bits I actually really like, the mindset bits. These are exciting bits. And I might have gone overkill on these because I started writing down notes, which I never do normally, but I got excited and thought of so many. So number 1, exercise is movement. I think that's something we all forget. When we think of physical activity, we think of exercise. We're thinking about what do the elite guys do, that elite sport, and how can I do things really well? Exercise is just movement. It's getting up out of your chair and walking up the stairs. That's movement, that's exercise. Number 2 is effort over results. And anyone who's heard me speak, I've been nicknamed Mr. Effort because this is something I love. And it's the fact that my whole life was about this before, where I measured myself on the results. If I ran and won the race and I ran a really fast time, then I was a success. And if I didn't, I was a failure. And for me, what helped me to become consistent, be a lot happier and healthier, was measuring myself on effort. Did I give 100% effort? Because there might be other stresses in your life. We all know about those stresses that there might be, financial, family, whatever, that we might only have 60% in the tank. And all you can give on that day is that 60%. 100% of that 60. And when you start measuring yourself on effort, you become a lot kinder to yourself because it's always positive rather than this negative, I demand more that I can't do, so on and so on. And I can talk about that for ages as Mr. Effort. Number 3, and Sadie mentioned this yesterday, accountability is huge. All the studies and data show that if you commit to a goal and tell someone else you're committing to it, you are more likely to achieve that goal. So even better, find someone who can do that physical activity with you, because you're ticking off that social health as well. I've had a really interesting journey with physical activity where it was my job. And quite frankly, I hated anything that was off the track to do with physical activity because I didn't want to do more of it. I was tired. It's what I do for a living. But now I'm in a different stage in my life where actually physical activity has become a huge social connection for me. Meeting up with someone and going for a run or whatever it might be has been massive for my social health. Visibility. So visibility is such a key in terms of everything to do with communications, marketing, and so on. And it's no different with your physical health. Put your shoes by the front door. You are more likely to go out and do some physical activity if you see those shoes. compared to if they're hidden away. So lay out your clothing for the next day if you're going out for that early run, because you're seeing it all the time, you're more likely to do it. The studies around nutrition and the people that have fruit on the side and how much they weigh compared to people who have cereal or chocolate on the side is huge, and it all comes down to visibility. So try that with your kit, with your equipment. Number 5, have a target or goal. This is something I've really struggled with myself when I'm doing physical activity now, because I'm not doing it for a specific goal like my whole life was before. So it's a lot easier, and this is when we're talking about this motivation, a lot easier to do something when you have that end goal, something you are aiming towards. So try and find something. It doesn't have to be huge. Try and find a goal and see if you can align it to your purpose. We all know about our why. I talk about it a lot myself. The reason why you do something. What is your purpose? If you can align a goal to your purpose, it is bound to be a damn sight easier when the weather's bad, when you're tired and you don't want to be getting up out of bed in the dark. It's going to be a lot easier if that physical activity and that goal is tied to your purpose. Blocking out time in your diary. I now do this. I call it my wellbeing meeting. So I actually put the meeting in my diary so no one else can book in that time. So I don't have any excuse when someone goes, oh, have you got, oh, I've seen you have some time in your diary here. Now I go, no, sorry, that's a wellbeing meeting. I've got an hour where I'm going to go for a run. I'm going to do a HIIT workout, yoga, or whatever it might be. So actually committing in the same way that you would for your meetings is huge. And then when we're thinking about timings, I always do my exercise, if I can, early in the morning, because that way I don't have other things in the way. I don't have excuses later on in the day where, oh, well, I've got another meeting, I've got work to do, it's getting dark, I'm tired, I've got other things. If I do it in the morning, not only do I guarantee I do it, but I feel productive and I feel like I've accomplished something early in my day. And it just rolls on to being far more successful a day, because I'm almost proud of myself that I've gone and done something so early. The other thing, don't plan to climb and conquer the mountain in one day, in that first day. Too many of us will look and go, well, I want to achieve this. Look at it and go, well, that's not possible and that's too hard. I want to run a marathon. And you look outside and you go, I can't run a marathon. Well, it's not about running a marathon now. It's about the journey on the way. So break it down into those little steps. All it is about progress towards your goal. Some days it will be huge progress. Some days it will be small progress. But what we can guarantee is that there is progress. So understanding that there is a journey towards things and that you only have to take those little steps sometimes to keep moving forward. Don't worry about that end goal. Stay in the present, stay in the now, and it will happen anyway. And then the last thing, and this is something I think that we forget in well-being as a whole when we plan strategies and so on, well-being should be fun. We always forget about fun. We take well-being so seriously sometimes, and then we forget that, oh no, one of the things we really enjoy is having fun. So find an activity and people that you enjoy being around and doing, or not doing, that didn't come out well when we talk about people as well. But for me, it's don't run. If you don't like running, don't run. If you don't like swimming, don't swim. Don't do things you don't enjoy. It's as simple as that. Find something that actually you enjoy. And if you don't enjoy any of them, find the one that you dislike the least. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was corporate case study. For me, I was asked, could we talk about something that businesses could do? And I thought, actually, I did some work with a company and I'd like to share that. So it was a global company and it had over 10,000 employees. And we set up for 1 month a Step Around the World challenge. And they'd done this previously and found that someone would cheat and they'd have 1 million steps and they'd win the prize and no one else would feel engaged and would stop halfway because I can't compete with 1 million steps. So in terms of winning prizes, having a prize draw, they changed it to every time you got 10,000 steps, you got 1 entry into the overall prize draw so that everyone would stay engaged. They also kept people engaged doing competitions between the regions. So between Europe, Middle East, Africa, APAC, Americas, to have that competition. But what I liked most was that then they aligned everyone together with a collective goal of that Step Around the World challenge. So it's not just you against me, we're also coming together for something. Other things we did was weekly HIIT workouts where to increase engagement, because sometimes these workouts don't get great engagement, particularly with a company of that size when you look at the numbers. So to increase engagement, we said for everyone who signed on to the weekly workout, they would get 3 times 3 tickets towards that grand prize, just to try and encourage that engagement. And we had huge engagement because of that. And then the last thing in how we pushed it forward was our regular internal communications. And we see this with wellbeing. Internal communications is key. Lots of places have fantastic support and interventions, but no one really knows about them. And we wanted to communicate this well. And something I'm passionate about is telling people when they've done something well. So a lot of that internal communications was not only celebrating those that are doing the most steps, so those that are done the most, but also those who had been consistent in inputting their steps and in attending the workouts as well, but also those that we measured the progress. So some of those people who were logging just a few steps to begin with, but clearly had turned it into a habit and had that enjoyment of it, felt connected and had that huge growth and become almost the most improved. So there's some ideas out of what we did. It was a really successful kind of plan, bearing in mind there was 10,000 plus employees, and I think they went around the world 1.5 times rather than the one, because they had such huge engagement. So there's just some ideas for you. I like to ramble, as you've already figured, but there you go. So there is some little stats on physical activity, some ideas for your mindset, and then some examples from a corporate case study.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Jack. I love that. The point that you made to start with about retaining more information when you're exercising, I did not know that. That's definitely one that's added to the bank. But yeah, some really, really good points. I love saying about, effort over result. That cultivates that more of a growth mindset, doesn't it? That we can constantly grow and learn and expand, and it's not just that fixed end result where we are now. And the fact that tied into what you did with the organisation and looking at people who are progressing and improving and not just the ones who are hitting like 1 million steps. So yeah, some fantastic thoughts and insight. Some really great comments coming through. Got a question. It's unlikely to happen for me if I'd wait until evening. Would you recommend morning activity over lunchtime, Jack?
There are loads of studies around performance and what times you should do anything, but I think if you take away performance like we want to really for this, because it's about engagement, for me, I'd go for lunchtime as well. There's that huge thing around slump, and obviously, you have your lunch, and then I'm one of those people after lunch, I'm rubbish. So I need to get out and be active. So I think it's very individual, isn't it, with all our well-being. So for some people, morning's going to be better and you can engage more, but for others, lunchtime might be a fantastic time to do it.
Perfect. Thank you. And coming from Ash, saying loving the connection between wellbeing programs and rewards, looking at intrinsic and extrinsic motivators of individuals. Lots of compliments coming through, virtual clapping even, really like the top tips, great checklist, lots of really positive comments as well. And obviously if anyone's got any further questions they want to ask Jack or any of the team, then you can contact us at the hello@letsimproveworkplacewellbeing.org email address.